All right, so we're going to fill out the notes here for preterite versus imperfect. So obviously you've got your list of imperfect words or keywords that signal imperfect use and words that signal preterite use. There's a huge list. These are just a few, and hopefully they give you the idea. You see a lot of plural words over here with the imperfect, and then you see like frequently, often, every day, todos los días, which would be plural and indicate every day as well. Preterite, you're going to usually see one word or a singular word, no S at the end, and again, it's kind of indicating one time or one day or the other day. So hopefully those make sense. I also strongly suggest that you memorize the water loads. And that's, let's see if I can do it all from memory. There's weather, age, oops, time, emotion, repeated action, ran out of room there, sorry. L is location, ongoing action, attitude, date and description, and last thing, the setting or the background of the story. And that would be water loads, the crazy long word to remember what to use a preterite, imperfect with. Bossy is for the preterite, and you've got beginning or ending to an action, a one-time action, a specific time, a sudden or distinct action, or an interrupting action. Now, what your book actually says in this chapter. So these guys totally work. I would memorize them. I'd feel comfortable with them. This is what we're focusing on in this chapter in the book. Use the imperfect to tell about habitual actions in the past. An explanation of that, that's just put it in your own words, right? So a lot of people said things happened over and over again. And iba a la escuela cada mañana is a good example. I went to school every day. The every day gives me the emphasis on over and over again. All right. Use the imperfect to give background information such as all of the stuff we just talked about, but time, weather, location, mood, age, physical description, and mental description. But it is also everything else that we just talked about. So you don't really need an explanation of that because it makes sense. It's just definition. So I've got two examples. First one, la, what would I say? This was a silly example, but I'll give you what they said. La pared era muy grande. The wall was very big. I really don't know when you would say that. But because I'm describing the wall as being big, it's a description, so it's imperfect. Next one, hacía calor. It was hot. And since I'm talking about weather, it's definitely imperfect. All right, so when to use the preterite. So the preterite is used to tell about past actions that happened and are complete. And an explanation of that is it has a definite ending. And an example of that would be llegué a la fiesta tarde. I arrived late to the party, but how many times did I arrive? Once, and that is complete. You can also use the preterite to give a sequence of actions in the past. And a good explanation of that would be a chain of events, or to describe things in the order that they happen. And an example would be, and you don't always have to use primero this and luego this, but with a sequence of actions that happens, right? So let's remove it though. La señora cocinó el pan y puso la mesa. Oh, cocinaba. Sorry. Cocinaba el pan. Oh my gosh. I said it right the first time. Cocinó el pan, puso la mesa y sacó la basura. You see the accent on the O in sacó. Sorry about that. I definitely need some sleep. So that is the preterite versus imperfect. Now when you're going to use them both together is when an action, which is the preterite, interrupts another that is taking place in the past, which is the imperfect. An explanation of that is, and this is what everybody said, interrupting action. So, yo caminaba a la escuela cuando mi amigo me llamó. So this is the past action that's getting interrupted, so it's in the imperfect. I was walking to school, and the interrupting action, I hope I just said that right. This is what's about to get interrupted, and this is the interrupting action right here. I was walking to school when my friend called me. My friend calling me interrupted me. Make sense? All right, moving on. All right, so now we're going to talk about estar plus participio. Many adjectives in Spanish are actually past participles of verbs. A great example would be sentar is to sit, and you're usually going to see it as sentarse, right? The past participle of that is sentado, and that's one of your vocabulary words, which means seated or sitting. It's really more like seated, but you get the gist. All right, so anyway, let's fill out these notes. To form a past participle, you add ado to the root of AR verbs and ido to the root of ER and IR verbs. Past participle is frequently used with estar to describe conditions that are a result of a previous action. In those cases, the past participle agrees with the subject in both gender and number. So when I'm using this as an adjective, it's got to be treated like an adjective. I need to make sure they match in gender and number. Now right here, you've got your list of irregulars. Apparently y'all learned last year 7 toes and 2 hoes. This year, I believe it's 8 toes and 2 hoes. So let me write those out for you. Okay, so if you're looking at these, abierto, escrito, muerto, puesto, roto, vuelto, resuelto, and visto. Obviously, these can go abierto, abierta, abiertos, and abiertas. So make sure, same with all of these, okay? They're just like adjectives and they need to, wait for that bell, and they need to match whatever they're describing in gender and number. So please make sure you make those corrections when you use them. But like it says, they're going to be used a lot with the star. In this chapter, you're going to see them a lot with estaba. So ya estaba hecho. It was already done. Or it was already made. Whatever we're talking about. If you have not already done this, the last page of your packet here is definitely the hardest one. It's talking about a visit to the museum, and you've got to not only use imperfect or preterite, there we go, preterite or imperfect with a star plus past participle. So that one's kind of a fun one, and I think one of the ways that it sticks out to me is when I'm going to fill in the blank on this, and the answers in the preterite or imperfect just don't seem 100% right. Like there's just something in the back of my head when I'm looking at this. That's when I know that it needs to be estaba and then whatever. And then another hint is the ya. But you'll see that when you watch my video 2.7 or 2.6. All right, that's it. Have fun.